type your name in the comment section so that I can take attendance of you. Okay, today we will finish up our walk cycle animation. Now, before finishing our walk cycle, we have to play blast this one. we can render up to n number of frames because I have given infinity cycle, so we can give n number of frames. I have given 800 frames, but we will render only 45 or 60 frames because it takes so much time to render. And we don't want to see all these things, controllers and all the things, so switch off cameras. And observe the follow through overlapping of hand animation. Yesterday in last class we did hand animation, so we have applied overlapping and follow through that those two hands. So checking all things, is everything perfectly coming or not, otherwise we have to adjust. Now I'm going to play blast for up to maybe 64 frames. Let's play that. People adjusting the frames one by one here. By using transport bar. So I'll take up to 76 frames. This is only just for play blasting. Now play once again. Okay. For a play blast, before play blasting, switch off all controls. Come to here, switch off knobs controls. And we can make a smooth also. select PM control, and here we have in channel box smooth option is there, coming to here, and when we click smooth option, we'll get a drop down list. We can take a 2 to use the maximum smooth for this character. Click on that. So we can identify this character is smooth. Now going to show switch off knobs, curves, because those curves are controllers for our character. Now when we are smoothing our character, our playback takes so much time because the character is smoothed, so it takes a lot of time to play. So like that it happens, but when we are play blast the character, that time it would be nice. So no need to worry about this real time playback. Start this one, and on time slider we have to click, right click, and here we have play blast options. Coming to play blast options, here we have play blast options window, and make this one quality must be keeping 100%, and format AVI encoding, no need of any encoding, AVI, and here scale 0.50 default it is, and make this one 1. Frame padding 4 as it is, keep it in default, and save to file. When we click save to file, it will show some path. We can give some other path to save our file. So click on that and browse movie file, browse where we want to save our play blast. For the time being, I am going to save my play blast at desktop, new, take new folder, make it as a play blast. And should not change this one, this should be movie file, and give some name, maybe 0001, play blast 0001. Save. So our play blast will be saved on my computer desktop ANU folder, and play blast folder, ANU folder. Inside ANU folder we have created a play blast folder. In that 0001, the file name is 0001. In this order our play blast will be saved. Now click on play blast. it takes some time because the system has to collect all the data and play blast the animation. When you are play blasting in AVI format or when you are rendering the file, should not do any work in that system because the processor has to uh, processor using lot of all amount of processing speed for our animation only. Suppose if we are using some other apps applications like using YouTube or something else, then the render will be terminated sometimes or sometimes we can have some jerk in animation. So only one work has to do at the time of rendering or playblast. Now here it is showing how many frames are play blasted. Now it comes up to 39. Now it goes to 40. Today we will finish up this walk cycle, and in the next class we'll start facial expressions. Now our playblast is finished. Now we'll search for our playblast file. We have given the path to save the playblast file. We are going to that path, desktop ANU, and playblast folder. In that we have 0001. Now open with any video player. So the file is playblasted, but it is only playblast. It is uh, we can identify the timing and spacing and length of the overall length of the animation. And rendering is different. Render by rendering we will render all the things, the lights, texture, animation, everything, atmosphere. Suppose if we are giving some atmospheric lighting, so everything will be rendered in rendering. Playblast for checking out our animation, whether it is working properly, the animation comes properly. Before giving rendering, we have to check all the things. And we'll give some camera animation to this character. That means now we have a playblasted in perspective view only. So we have to take one camera and animate that camera, both sides and front side and both sides, so that I can where we can have keen observation of our character in another directions also. So now we are going to take a camera and animating that camera along with our character animation. Now whenever we are working on animation, we must have to keep our character as a we should not keep our character in smooth mode. We have to make this one as a working mode. So for that, click on select all controls and click on our PM control, and coming to here in a channel box, select that one, make this one as a smooth 0. No smooth should be applied. Okay, now it is easy to work. So it is not consuming more power from our CPU. So we must have to keep our character in 0 smoothness. Whatever the character we are working, we have to keep in 0 smoothness. Now we'll take a camera, create cameras, take camera, option box, edit, reset settings, create one camera. Now our camera is created, but we are not been able to see our camera because we have switched off the camera. See here. So coming to here, show, switch on cameras. This is our camera. Select that one. And in channel box, whatever camera we are selecting, that camera's name will come here. So select this one. This is our camera, and select and name it as render cam. Render cam underscore 001. So we can create a number of render cams. So this is the first render cam, so I am giving 001. If I want to create 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that, I just have to change the number here. Then we can identify easily whatever the camera we are working on. So select this one, and now we must have to look through this camera. Now panels, look through selected. Now this camera shows like this only because this camera is not pointing on our character. Now we have to rotate our camera and keep proper distance and proper angle. At the first frame, our camera angle should be like this. Select all the things, right click, key selected, and up to 10 frames it should not move, camera should not move. So again, key selected. From 10th frame onwards, maybe up to 25, that means a 15 frames interval, camera should move like this, like it should come, seems to be like a front view. Like this one, 10. Rotation Y 5.5. Now keyframe this one, right click, key selected. Now again, up to 10 frames it should be static. So going to 35, little bit down. Key selected, coming to 35, key selected. So camera should not have in these 2 frames. Now again 35 to 50, that means here 15 frames interval, So this side also we are taking 15 frames interval. Our camera. Selected. Now go back to first frame and animate. We can adjust case little more here. Shift select the 10th frame, taking up to 15, and this one also it should be at 30, and from here to here it should be at 40, and I select this one at 55. That means we have increased the frame rate. Now switch off cameras. Play back once. Now I can show, switch on controls and select going to smooth, make this one smooth 2 points, and I can show, switch off controls. Now once again play blast this one, play blast, option box, and browse. We have already given the settings. New play blast. Now we are giving another file 0002. Save and play blast. Now we are play blasting our character along with the camera animation. Play blast will take a little time because we have smoothed our character, and rendering will takes a lot of time. Suppose if you want to render with all effects, dynamics, and lighting and all the things, maybe 24 frames it will take 1 hour, 2 hours, depending on our set, depending on our layout, how many characters we are having, how many lights, how many dynamic effects we have used, depending on that it will take. This time we are play blasting our character along with our camera. The camera which we have created, it has a camera animation. So we are play blasting our character and camera both at a time. Now our play blast is finished. We'll go to our given path. We can find out our play blast file. We have given the name 0002. We will open that one. Yeah, this is our play blaster after giving camera animation. In graph editor, we can smoothen our movements also. Camera movements, we can smooth our camera movements in graph editor. Once we are checking our play blast, if it is okay, then finally we'll go for rendering. I have switched off smoothness. And rendering. Here we have render options. Coming to here, selecting that one. We can get render settings here. In the render settings, render layers, master layer of Maya, and render using Maya software. Here drop down list, we can have Maya hardware 2.0, mental ray, and turtle. And we can render using whatever the things. Suppose if our system is having more, our system is capable of graphic card using NVIDIA RTX 2000 or 3000 or NVIDIA P4000, P2000, like that powerful graphic cards, we can use Maya hardware render. Without having external graphic card, we are not been able to use this one. And these things are mental ray, and like that we have another option, mental ray, like we are using mental ray. For this also we must have powerful graphic card. Default we should have to render in Maya software only, because we are not been able to use our graphic card, so we are using this Maya software. And whenever we are rendering for movies and broadcasting, that time we can use mental ray or Maya hardware renders. And this is the common tab. In common tab, where our project actually lies in, and what is the format of our render. And here comes Maya software tab. Here we have quality and anti-aliasing, low quality, and finally when we are rendering, we will keep this one as a highest quality, so that our render should come properly. Here also keeping our quality as a production quality, 3D blur and production quality, whatever it may be, we can keep in that finally. And number of samples, shadings, we'll keep these things as it is. Suppose if we are using ray tracing lighting, we have to go to here in ray tracing quality. Here we have to switch on ray tracing and apply how much ray trace we required. We have to give the values of that ray tracing. And animation, in the sense it should have some blur, motion blur. So to find this one properly, we can use motion blur. In motion blur tab, we can click motion blur and give the apply the motion blur whatever we required. Like that we have to adjust all the things and go for rendering. And every time we have to frame as name dot extension single frame. This one has a actually single frame. For a single frame, we can afterwards, after the rendering, we want to use this file for composting in Nuke, whatever the 3D softwares, 3D composting software. So suppose if we are rendering for a composting software, so we have to keep this one as a name.ext a single file. Name.hash.ext extension. Ext means extension. Like that, we have to use. And we can give the frame range. We can give, suppose if we want to 1000 frames are there, if you want to render only 300 to 400, so that we can give here that range only. So only in between frames only render here. And renderable cameras, actually here by default it gives the perspective camera, but in perspective camera we should not render our camera. So suppose if you want to render this scene, I have to keep this one as render cam 001, because I have created earlier this camera as our render camera, so that I have to select this one only, then only I can get our camera animation along with our character. Otherwise we can't get that camera animation in final render. And here comes image size. Default it gives a HD 540, and clicking here in it shows some drop down list. Here we have another format, another image size. This one is a 640/480 for CRT monitors, and 1K square, 2K square, and 3K, 4K, like that. It has n number of formats for PAL broadcast, for NTSC broadcast, full HD, and HD 550, 720, 820, 1080, like that. And Targa. Targa is mainly used for composting. When we are going for composting, we have to render in Targa only, like that. And we can have some plugins. We can import some plugins for rendering, for render in IMAX also. Here shows pixel depth of that whatever the format we have selected, that pixel depth also showing here. Suppose I have selected 2K square, then pixel depth also changed here. Suppose I have to select if I selected 4K square, then here the pixel depth also changes. And resolution 72 point. Suppose we can keep, finally we can keep this one as 100. So adjusting all these things, then only we can render the scene. Okay, tomorrow onwards we'll start facial expressions and blend modes. Not tomorrow, next class onwards we'll start facial expressions and blend modes.